I spent $50,000 of my own money on his treatment, and now he's giving the house to her. I stared at the framed family photo in my hands, my knuckles white against the glass. Mom flinched at my tone, but didn't meet my eyes. Alex, please try to understand. Understand what? I set the frame down before I could shatter it. That I took out a loan I'll be paying off for the next decade so Dad could get better, while Kira hasn't called once in 3 years, and he's thanking her with the only asset this family has. The kitchen fell silent except for the rhythmic drip of the faucet that Dad had promised to fix last month. Mom twisted her wedding band, a nervous habit she'd had as long as I could remember. Your father has his reasons, she finally said. Which are? She sighed, shoulders slumping. It's not my place to explain. You should talk to him. I laughed, the sound hollow even to my own ears. Yeah, because he's been so eager to talk to me since I found out. 2 days ago, I'd been helping Dad organize his medication when I found the paperwork. A deed transfer for the modest 2-bedroom house I'd grown up in. The house where I'd been living for the past year to help care for him during his cancer treatment. My name wasn't on it. My sister Kira's was. He's in the garden, Mom said quietly. Please don't upset him. His blood pressure. I know about his blood pressure. I snapped. I'm the one who takes him to every doctor's appointment. I regretted my tone immediately when I saw her flinch again. Mom had been caught in the middle of Dad's stubbornness and my frustration for years. I'm sorry, I said. I need to understand. She nodded, patting my hand briefly before busying herself with the dishes. The conversation was over. I found Dad exactly where Mom said he would be, tending to the tomato plants I'd helped him start in the spring. His back was to me, shoulders thinner than I remembered from childhood. Cancer had taken its toll, but he was in remission now. We had hope. Dad, he stiffened but didn't turn around. Alex, we need to talk about the house. His hand stilled on the tomato cage. Your mother shouldn't have told you. She didn't. I found the paperwork by accident. He finally turned, his face impassive. The anger I'd been nursing froze in my chest. Even after a year, it was still jarring to see how much illness had aged him. It's my house, he said simply. My decision. The house you're only still living in because I paid for your treatment, I countered. The house I've been maintaining, paying utilities for, while you recover. A flash of something, guilt, maybe, crossed his face before his expression hardened again. Nobody asked you to do that. The words hit like a physical blow. You're right. Mom just cried on the phone about medical bills you couldn't pay, and I offered. My mistake. Alex, no, I get it. Kira's always been your favorite. I just didn't think you'd be this obvious about it. His eyes narrowed. This isn't about favorites. Then what is it about? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like I'm being punished for actually being here while she gets rewarded for disappearing. Dad leaned on his gardening cane. Kira needs it more than you do. I stared at him, incredulous. Are you serious? I'm drowning in debt because of your medical bills. You have a steady job. A future. His voice was maddeningly calm. Kira's struggling. Struggling with what? Last I heard, she was living with her latest boyfriend in Colorado. She hasn't even called to check if you're alive. That's enough. For a moment, I saw a flash of the formidable man he'd once been. You don't know everything about your sister's situation. Then enlighten me. He turned back to his plants. It's not my story to tell. I laughed bitterly. Convenient. You should go inside, Alex. We'll talk when you've calmed down. I am calm, I lied. And I deserve an explanation. But Dad had already mentally dismissed me, focusing on his tomatoes with stubborn intensity. It was a familiar scene from my childhood. Dad shutting down, me left with questions and frustration. I walked away, hands trembling. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from Patrick, my oldest friend. Still on for drinks tonight? I typed back quickly. Definitely. Need it more than ever. O'Malley's hadn't changed since high school. Same sticky floors, same faded photos of local sports heroes, same comforting anonymity. Patrick was already at our usual corner booth, 2 beers waiting. That bad? Huh? He asked as I slid in across from him. Worse. I took a long swallow of beer. Dad's giving the house to Kira. Patrick's eyebrows shot up. Your sister who vanished to Colorado? That Kira. The very same. Man, that's cold. Especially after everything you've done. I traced a pattern in the condensation on my glass. According to Dad, she needs it more than I do. Bullshit. Patrick had never been Dad's biggest fan. What does she need it for? More money for whatever artistic crisis she's having this year. I couldn't help but smile at his indignation. Patrick had been there through all of it. My parents' messy separation when I was 14, their even messier reconciliation 2 years later, Kira's dramatic exits, and sparse returns. I don't know what she needs, I admitted. Dad wouldn't say. Have you tried calling her? I shook my head. Numbers disconnected. Again, Patrick hesitated, then asked, what about the money? The loan for your dad's treatment. What about it? It's not like I can take it back. The bitterness in my voice surprised even me. No, but maybe you could talk to a lawyer? If you've been paying the bills, maintaining the house, while living there rent-free, I pointed out. Still, there might be options. I sighed, finishing my beer. I don't want to sue my father, Patrick. Well, what do you want? The question hung between us. What did I want? Recognition? Gratitude? Fairness? I want to understand why, I finally said. Why her and not me? Patrick signaled for another round. Then maybe it's time to find Kira. Finding my sister proved easier than expected. A simple social media search revealed she'd recently started working at a coffee shop in Boulder. No more boyfriend, apparently. I left a voicemail at the shop, not expecting much. She called back the next day. Alex. Her voice was the same, slightly husky, perpetually amused. This is a surprise. Yeah, well, desperate times. I was sitting in my car outside my parents' house, unwilling to have this conversation where they might overhear. Is Dad okay? The cancer is in remission, I finished. But I'm guessing you already know that. A pause. I talk to Mom sometimes. But not me. Not Dad. It's complicated, Alex. I gripped the steering wheel. Seems to be the family motto lately. Look, I'll cut to the chase. Dad's transferring the house to you. I want to know why. The line went so quiet, I thought she'd hung up. He's what? She finally said. Don't act surprised. The paperwork's already being processed. Alex, I swear I didn't know anything about this. Something in her voice made me believe her. Then why would he do it? Another pause. I might have an idea, but we should talk in person. You're going to fly to Chicago? Miracle of miracles. Actually, she said slowly, I'm already here. Have been for a few days. I sat up straight. What? Where? At Aunt Martha's. I was going to call you, but... She trailed off. But what? I was scared, okay? It's been 3 years. I leaned back, processing this. Why are you in town? Same reason you called me, I think. We need to talk. Can you meet me at Lakeside Park in an hour? By the old playground. I checked my watch. I had a shift at the school in 3 hours, but this couldn't wait. I'll be there. Kira was sitting on a swing when I arrived, looking simultaneously older and exactly the same. Her hair was shorter, dyed a softer shade of brown instead of the jet black she'd favored in her 20s. She wore simple jeans and a flannel shirt, a far cry from the elaborate outfits of her artistic period. She stood when she saw me, uncertainty written across her face. We'd never been huggers, so we stood awkwardly until she gestured to the adjacent swing. Thanks for coming, she said as we sat, like I had a choice. I softened the words with a small smile. You look different. Clean, she supplied. The word you're looking for is clean. I blinked, processing her meaning. You were using? Yeah, for a long time. She pushed herself gently with one foot, the swing creaking. Pills at first, then whatever I could get. That's why I left. I struggled to reconcile this information with the sister I thought I knew. Why didn't you tell us? We could have helped. She laughed, though there was no humor in it. Dad made it pretty clear what he thought of junkies whenever the subject came up. Remember his rants about the neighbor's kid? I did remember. Dad's zero-tolerance stance on drugs had been unwavering. Mom knew, Kira continued. Not everything, but enough. She's been sending me money for rehab. Mom has. This was news to me. How? They can barely afford Dad's medication copays. Kira looked at me sharply. What are you talking about? Dad's insurance covered most of his treatment. I stilled my swing. No, it didn't. Their policy had a high deductible and didn't cover the specialized treatment he needed. I took out a $50,000 loan to cover it. Now it was Kira's turn to look shocked. That's not what Mom told me. She said insurance covered it. We stared at each other as pieces began clicking into place. They lied to both of us, I said slowly. But why? Kira resumed, swinging gently. Probably to protect us from each other's truths. Dad would never want you to know his daughter was an addict, and Mom would never want me to know my brother was financially sacrificing himself. But the house, I persisted. Why would Dad give it to you if he's so disappointed? Kira stopped swinging again, her expression serious. Because he thinks I'm still using. Mom's been telling him the money is for my art school. She made air quotes around the words. But I think he figured it out. The house is his way of making sure I don't end up homeless after they're gone. Are you still using? I had to ask. 18 months clean, she said with quiet pride. It hasn't been easy, but I'm doing it. That's why I'm back, to tell them the truth. All of it. I absorbed this information, trying to fit it into my understanding of our family. So Dad thinks he's saving you by giving you the house, while I'm left with nothing but debt from saving him, I summarized. Perfect. I don't want the house, Alex. I never asked for it. I believe you. But that doesn't solve the problem. We sat in silence for a moment, the playground empty around us on this weekday afternoon. We need to talk to them, Kira finally said. Together. No more secrets, no more lies. I nodded slowly. Tonight. I was planning to go over anyway. Mom's making pot roast. I almost laughed. Of course she is. We arrived together, a united front for perhaps the first time in our adult lives. Mom opened the door, her surprise at seeing us both quickly morphing into suspicion. What's going on? She asked as we stepped inside. Family meeting, Kira said firmly. Where's Dad? In his chair, Mom replied, her eyes darting between us. But he's tired from his treatment yesterday. Maybe this isn't the best time. It's the perfect time, I interrupted. We're all here, and we all need to talk. Dad looked up from his newspaper as we entered the living room, his expression cycling through surprise, confusion, and wariness in rapid succession. What's this about? He asked, folding his paper deliberately. The house, I said. My addiction, Kira added simultaneously. Mom dropped the glass she was holding. It shattered on the hardwood floor, water splashing our feet. I'll get a towel, she mumbled, trying to escape. No, Mom. Kira's voice was gentle but firm. You're staying right here. We all need to talk. I guided Mom to the couch while Kira took the chair opposite Dad. I remained standing, too restless to sit. I know about the house, Kira started, looking at Dad. And I don't want it. Dad's jaw tightened. It's not about what you want. It's about what you need. What I needed was my family to know the truth, she countered. I'm an addict, Dad. I have been for years. But I'm in recovery now, 18 months clean. Dad's face paled. Your mother said, I know what Mom said. Kira interrupted, glancing at our mother, who was staring at her hands. She was trying to protect me. Just like she was trying to protect me when she didn't tell me that Alex took out a massive loan to pay for your treatment. Dad's eyes swung to me. What is she talking about? I pulled a folded paper from my pocket, my latest loan statement, and handed it to him. Insurance didn't cover most of your treatment, Dad. You needed specialized care that was out of network. The deductible alone was $15,000. Dad unfolded the paper with shaking hands, his eyes widening at the figure. Your mother said we had savings, he murmured. All eyes turned to Mom, who was still examining her hands with intense focus. We did have savings, she said quietly. I used them to help Kira get into rehab. 3 times. The silence that followed was deafening. Why didn't you tell me? Dad finally asked her. Because you would have said no, Mom replied, looking up at last. You would have said she made her choices and had to live with them. But she's our daughter, Richard. Our child. And I'm your son, I said. The one who's been here, helping, supporting, paying bills, only to find out I'm being written out of any future security while Kira gets the house. You have a teaching job, Dad protested weakly. Stability. I have a job that barely covers my living expenses, let alone the loan I took out for you. I corrected him. A loan I never complained about because I thought we were in this together. As a family. Dad looked down at the loan statement again, his hands trembling slightly. I didn't know, he said softly. Because you didn't ask, I replied. You just assumed I was fine, like always. Kira stood, moving to sit beside Mom on the couch. I don't want the house, Dad. I never asked for it. And I don't need it. I'm okay now. I have a job, an apartment, a support system. But the money your mother's been sending was for therapy, not rehab. I've been clean. Mom knew. She took Mom's hand. She's been helping me stay that way. Dad's eyes closed briefly, the lines in his face deepening. When he opened them again, he looked older than I'd ever seen him. I don't understand why nobody told me the truth, he said. Any of it. Because you make it impossible. The words burst from me before I could stop them. You judge. You dictate. You decide what's best for everyone without ever asking what they actually need. Alex, Mom warned. No, he's right, Dad said, surprising us all. I've always thought I knew best. He looked at Kira. I failed you by being so rigid that you couldn't come to me when you were struggling. Kira's eyes welled with tears. I was scared of disappointing you more than I already had. Dad nodded, then turned to me. And I failed you by taking your support for granted. By assuming your stability meant you didn't need anything in return. I swallowed hard against the unexpected lump in my throat. So what now? I asked. Where does this leave us? Dad carefully refolded my loan statement and handed it back to me. We start over, he said simply. With the truth this time. He glanced at Mom, who nodded encouragingly. The house stays in the family, both your names on the deed, Dad continued. And I'm going to help with that loan, Alex. I don't know how yet, but we'll figure it out. Dad, you don't have to. Yes, I do, he interrupted. It's my treatment, my responsibility. Our responsibility, Mom corrected. We're in this together. Kira wiped her eyes. All of us. It wasn't a perfect solution. There were still details to work out, trust to rebuild, patterns to break. But as we sat together in that living room, surrounded by decades of shared history and freshly revealed truths, I felt something shift. I made pot roast, Mom said into the silence, always the peacemaker. Dad chuckled, the tension visibly easing from his shoulders. Of course you did. We moved to the dining room, the four of us sitting around the table where we'd shared thousands of meals over the years. As Mom served the food, I caught Kira's eye across the table. She gave me a small smile, part gratitude, part apology, part hope. It wouldn't be easy. Years of secrets and assumptions had created deep grooves in our relationships. But for the first time in a long time, we were seeing each other clearly. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.